Carlos, have you been able to talk about Bukele yet?
No, not yet. Not yet, Tracy.
Could we hear about that?
Hi. Of course, yes. I think it's part of what Maria and Kate were saying. Yeah, Central America is going through a process of what I call dismantling of democracy, or of our weak democratic institutions. And let me first add to what Maria and Kate were saying. I mean, as Central Americans, some of us at least, are always amazed of how little regular US citizens know about Central America. And we are amazed because at least for the last 100 and more years, our life has been always influenced, if not determined, by decisions made in Washington mainly, and sometimes in New York. I mean, from the Banana Republic times. I mean, I'm even amazed that regular US citizens don't know that Banana Republic is a term that speaks also about the United States, not only about us. And you can trace the continuous line without interruptions of US influence and decision-making that has impacted tremendously our lives from those years till today. Right? There's no interruption going through the war years. And I was mentioning in the first part of this panel, two of the main reasons for violence in this region, which are gangs and drug trafficking. I am not someone to blame the United States for everything that happens in our lives, but it is also needed that the United States acknowledges at least some part of the responsibility of that they have upon our situation. Both gangs and drug trafficking are problems that we have that can be directly linked to US decisions. One, because of the massive deportation of gang kids from Los Angeles. As soon as the Civil War ended, we didn't have gangs in this country. Gangs are an import product from California and the DC area. That's a problem we imported from the United States. And drugs, this corridor of drug trafficking is a direct result of the Southern Command decision of closing the Caribbean route, because they thought it was easier to fight drug trafficking in this region. I mean, we can go on and on about this, but Kate mentioned Honduras, and I think Honduras is a very important, how do you say, case study or study case? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my English.
Case study.
Which also depicts another thing. The United States is not an entity that designs a single integral policy that goes into effect in this country. The United States, for us, is a collection of different agencies with different agendas. And Honduras is a very important example to do that. In Honduras, since the coup d'etat in 2009, there's two different US agendas that have been clashing, and that we saw just recently in a New York federal court, which is the Justice Department and the DEA agenda, which is to fight drug trafficking, clashing with the State Department agenda, which is to support the president, even if they knew he was involved in drug trafficking, because that was better than option B, which was this leftist populist guy that they didn't want to see. So they have supported for many years Juan Orlando Hernandez, even through fraudulent elections. And this must be remembered. He was reelected through a fraudulent election, recognized as such by every single observer, except the United States, which in the end legitimated his reelection. You have to acknowledge the impact of US decisions into our lives. That's why I was saying I am so amazed that regular US citizens know so little about us, because the decisions made by their elected officials directly impact us. What about President Biden? He was the vice president of President Obama so-called deporter-in-chief. So he is back into the presidency. And although I think, as Maria was saying, this is way better than what we had with the last president, Mr. Trump, I have the impression that this is still, for the Biden administration, a matter of internal politics. The US government officials have been in the last years sequestered by migration being an internal policy issue, an internal politics issue, an internal politics debate. They have to behave in a way that is appealing to their voters, right? And I don't know how much this is really a genuine interest on our lives and of the reasons of our crisis. Let me give you an example, Tracy, and I'm going to finish with this because I'm taking, again, a lot of time. There is a so-called Biden plan for Central America, which was depicted in his, during his campaign. In his program, in his agenda, there's a Biden plan for Central America. When you go and see this plan, Central America is reduced to 3 countries: Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, meaning Central America is important only because they have an internal problem, which is migration. These are the 3 main countries expelling people to the United States. Nicaragua is going through a huge crisis, as Kate was saying earlier. Why is Nicaragua not in this agenda? Because Nicaraguans emigrate to the south, to Costa Rica. So that's not a problem for Mr. Biden. I think this is one of the main problems. And no matter, if you keep doing this, no matter what you do, you're not going to solve the situation, because more and more, the problems in Central America are integral problems, right? Drug trafficking is now changing the lives of Costa Ricans. Migration is also changing the face of Panama and Costa Rica, because now we have African migration coming through the Darien all the way up through Central America, and they are stopped in Mexico. So if you don't find integral solutions for this region, and again, I'm not asking the US to find those solutions, we have to find them together. Because again, the influence of the United States is so big that we need to find solutions together. I'm sorry, you asked me about Bukele, and I took all my time to speak about Biden, but we can come back with Bukele and the dismantling of democracy in this region, which is something very alarming, which is only going to produce more and more migrants and not less. And this dismantling of democracy is going on in Guatemala, in El Salvador. The alarms are ringing more and more every day. We have lost our guarantees, constitutional guarantees. It's going on in Honduras, where the front runner for the presidency is a guy that just left a United States prison after confessing money laundering for the biggest drug cartel. Is going on in Nicaragua also. We can talk about it in another panel if we still have time, Tracy, because that's very important.